Hello, this is Anders from Cadaver, and you're watching CMS TV.
And what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Limping Out of the Fire. I am the fire breather of this limp. I am Chris Hagan. That dude over there, that would be Seth Williams. Seth, how are you, sir?
Seth the minus leg Williams.
That's right.
I'm doing okay. That song is very for a couple of guys who are just like handicapped dudes.
Well, that's what it's supposed to. Would you rather it be, I'm sad, I'm
No,
lonely, I'm limping out of the fire?
I can see like a Celine Dion or somebody doing that song.
No. We're proudly jumping out of it, man.
Yes.
We're bringing it.
I've had some work done since the last time we did this show.
Okay.
With my leg, and we're gonna have Josh Green on here in just a few minutes.
Sure.
Talk about it. I got to get him to pronounce the name of the prosthetic place because I'm stupid, but it sounds like a beer. But I went to see him because I had this sleeve that holds the I guess the leg on, prosthetic on, and I've had it for like 3 years.
Okay.
And the thing it's just rotting away. Like literally, you could see through some of it, and it wasn't comfortable, and it wasn't working right. And to be honest with you, I was like there was like some sort of liquid, like sweat and blood and stuff that was like always in the bottom of the stupid sleeve, and it was terrible. It smelled like death, dude.
Yuck.
And so I went to see Josh, and I'm not trying to be weird, but I mean it's just one of those things. I guess it happens.
Sure.
It was one of the perils and consequences of being an amputee.
Sure.
And man, I felt so bad for this guy, dude. So bad. I walk in there, big fat Seth, and he puts me in. I'm going to tell him, dude. He puts me in the tiniest chair that you could possibly find. Like, have you ever seen those cartoons, like Looney Tunes, or like they have the circus and they put the elephant on like a tiny little tricycle or something like that?
Right.
That's what I felt like on this chair.
Felt like one of those fat guys in the Guinness Book on the motorcycles.
Right. And I was convinced that when I saw him pull this chair, I'm like, dude, there's no way I'm going to get up from this chair, one.
Right.
But two, I'm going to smash it. It's going to crumple underneath my massive size. And then, because he has to, find me a new whatever for this leg, he has me take my leg off.
Okay.
So now I've known Josh just from talking to him periodically, texting back and forth online or whatever. So I don't really know him.
Sure.
Right?
Okay.
So now I'm a 300-pound plus fat guy sitting in the tiniest chair ever with no leg on. And now I know that I'm going to die. I think it's just him and I in the building, but I don't know.
Right.
And so now I'm convinced that I'm going to get raped. Something horrible is going to happen to me because I'm defenseless at this point. Because I can't walk. I can't just jump up and leave and run out of the building.
Right.
I have nothing on, no leg. There's no way I can even stick this stupid thing on if I wanted to now. Now I'm the most vulnerable person on the face of the planet. And I'm convinced that all kind of bad things could happen to me.
Right.
But it turns out that Josh is actually one of the greatest guys in the world and very nice and really helped me out. And I'm still trying to figure out how to use this thing.
But take a minute, but that's cool. I mean, dude, if ever there was a topic that or a story that fits the exact nature of this show, this is it, because this is the stuff that people don't ever hear about.
No, they don't realize that.
Yeah, go ahead.
They don't realize that, man, you are sometimes in the most vulnerable positions that you could possibly be in.
Mm-hmm.
When I was in the hospital recovering from this, and I had no prosthetic, it was just me laying in a hospital bed at 2:00 in the morning. It's dark, and I went to Metro, so there's some guy in handcuffs on the side and the other next to me, literally.
Right.
And then two big, huge dudes come in, and like now they're manhandling me because they have to like shower me somehow.
Right.
And so you're laying in bed. These guys are stripping you down, and like you are completely vulnerable. There is nothing you can do. If they wanted to beat the hell out of me, they could have done that right then and there.
Dude,
And it's embarrassing and it's horrible.
It's the worst.
People don't know about that kind of stuff.
Dude, I went through a similar thing with the burns. Every single day after I got out of the coma, every day they had to come. I had so many staples in my body holding skin on, just literally holding slabs of skin that they sliced off and put places. And I at one point they said it was 5,200 staples at one point. And they used to they have this table. It's a big old long metal table. It's cold. And it tips up a little and to the right. And the reason it does is because at the very top corner is where there's a drain. And of course, that's where they would always put my head. And then they'd start pulling staples, 50, 100 at a time. And they would just have this hose thing that was just hosing the blood off. Well, of course, all of that blood and gook and just, I was getting a face full of it every single day. It was like, oh, just give me more morphine.
Yeah, the people don't understand how when you're in trouble like that and there is no saving yourself. You're at the mercy of whoever is with you.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I've always been a pretty tough guy. I mean, obviously military and all that kind of crapola. Yeah. And I used to box and everything else. I mean, I was a pretty tough cat. And this stuff left me to the point that I had to beg somebody to open a carton of milk so I could and stick a straw in it so I could drink.
Yep.
I mean, you learn about yourself and you really learn about trust level with other people immediately when you go through something major. And you find out, and it doesn't end, really. It never ends.
And when you're laying in bed and you just want to get out of there, and you can't.
Yeah.
There's nowhere to go.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I had to fight to get the sides of my hospital bed taken down. They had alarms on them. Mm-hmm. I'm like, where am I going to go? What do you think? We're going to hop out of here?
Dude, I was so stubborn. They wanted me, obviously, once I got moving a little bit, barely moving, but moving, they wanted me to go to 1 million different appointments a day. You got to go see the hand therapist. You got to go see the leg therapist. You got to go see the skin doctor, the shrink, all the different stuff that you have to do. And I remember the very first day, and I'm not going to lie, I was stoned out of my mind on morphine. But I remember seeing the wheelchair come up, and the wheelchair has a tag maybe that big on the side of it, maybe. But it said InvaCare. I refused to get in it. For the entire time I was in the hospital, I would not get in the chair because I was like, I'm not an invalid. I'm not sitting in this chair. That's it. And you know what? I was absolutely an invalid that should not have been trying to walk. I'd be like, I'm walking to these appointments. And I would get like 3 steps down the hall and I'd be leaning on the walls and stuff and just smearing blood and on the walls and whatever. But I refused to do it. You go through, and the reason I'm bringing this story up, and we'll bring Josh on here in just a second because I'm sure he can share on a lot of this stuff. The reason was my brain was still so stuck in before injury that I did not know how to accept any kind of help at all after injury. And the only thing that finally made me get healthy was accepting help. Accepting help. For me, it was nurses, and for me, it was surgeons. For you, it's obviously guys like Josh Green here, who's a prosthetic specialist and an orthotic specialist. And you got to rely on your doctors, and you got to rely on your family, and you got to rely on friends that really prove themselves to be friends.
Yeah.
It's hard but it's so hard when look, we're all in our 40s, 50s, whatever. We're trained as from children to be be our own person, take care of yourself. Don't wait for other people. Then all of a sudden you have to, and it's like, whoa, what's going on? How do I do this? It's very hard to understand and grasp, but why don't we do this? Should we bring Josh on?
Yes.
All right. Let's
Is
bring
Rumble
Josh.
working?
It is,
right?
Rumble's working. Don't listen to these dickheads. They don't know what
I was not a
about.
dickhead. Maybe it wasn't. Right.
It's working.
All right.
Hey, you. Why are you watching this with commercials? Go commercial-free and unlock exclusive content. Become a VIP today on Locals, Substack, or Rumble Premium. Stop waiting.
I'll tell you, it's not a dickhead, though.
Bob's not a
Josh
dickhead.
Green.
Josh Green is definitely not a dickhead.
There he is. How you doing, Josh?
How you doing, guys? I'm doing great. Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, Josh, obviously, man, this is more of a Seth thing than me because I don't need prosthetics, at least not yet. Hopefully never, knock wood. But it is such a valued and I would say of all of the things that we talk about, both on the show and just one-on-one, it's one of those specialties that I think is wildly underappreciated, and yet it might be the single most important thing for an amputee after the initial surgeries and whatnot. So let's start there, man. Why don't you kind of tell us about your place and tell us about the process of getting people into the correct prosthetics and moving forward with their lives?
Sure. So I work for Lime Cooler Orthotic Prosthetic Center. We have 5 locations right now in Ohio. And basically we're there from the second the surgeon or the hospital gives us the notes or the referral that you had an amputation, and then the next day we start right in. So what happens first is, someone from a prosthetic company will come talk to you, probably bring you a shrinker and a limb protector, and that's so that a lot of baloney amputees like Seth, they will, it's all mental. They will forget that they just had their leg cut off and go to get out. And Seth, that's why they had the rails on. They will just turn to get out of bed, and they'll land directly on their stump and break open all those stitches. And it looks like 5 people were murdered in the room. Like it is gnarly. It's just a bunch of blood clots everywhere, and it's happened often. So those are the first 2 things that happen, and then you just worry about healing. So a few months go by, what we do is we give you a shrinker, so it kind of gives you that perfect kind of circular sphere on the bottom there, and that's how we start training your limb to get ready for a prosthetic. And then from there, it's a lot of case-by-case basis, but basically you'll be able to get the process started about week 8 or 12, and we cast you, and we go from there to do some test sockets, make a carbon fiber finish socket, and lifelong adjustments after that. It's a lifelong deal, that's for sure.
Now I have to get another leg. Is that correct?
Oh yeah. You need one bad, big guy.
Yeah, because
we got you.
I've been having some troubles when I go to like hills or stairs or something like that. It feels like I'm going to fall over.
Yeah.
And the socket it hurts to walk around, and you could see. I think there's like even some damage in there that you could tell that it's not rubbing the right way. I mean, something's wrong.
Yeah. So it's very common, and one of the hardest things for amputees to deal with day to day is just the volume change in your residual limb. Some of that is just water, and you try to put your leg on in the morning and you can't fit because your limb has too much water and it's swollen. And as you wear that leg all day, it kind of pushes the water up the spout, and now your limb's too small for your leg, and you got to wear socks. So all day long, it's like the prosthetic is one size, but your limb constantly gets bigger and smaller. So imagine having to go buy shoes that for half the day you're a 12, but the rest of the day you're a 9. but you got to fit in these size 11s that you got, you know? So it's just a bunch of trial and error and just tips and tricks that, you know, this is why I started my amputee support group, just tips and tricks we can share with each other that just make your day so much easier. There's certain things, like if you're, like you gained or lost a little weight, you're not going to fit, you know, in your prosthetic right. If you gain weight, you're not going to be able to get your stump down in there. If you lost weight, you're just going to sink right down in there. So either way, it's too short or too tall. And it's just learning the ways to deal with that until you can get in and see your prosthetist, that I think saves people a lot of hassle.
That seems to be my problem. I think I gained some weight, and then, but it's also 3 years old. I mean, just like
So you want to, you know, 3 to 5 years is about what you'll get out of them. But Seth, you're new. You should be on probably your third socket by now. Because your first couple of years, you almost get one every year because your limb changes so much. You know, imagine how swollen your limb was if you could remember when that first happened. And now it's probably a third of the size almost, you know?
Right.
So until you hit about the 3 to 5 year mark as an amputee, your limb just changes a lot.
Josh, are there things that people could do? And I know you said you have a group with tips and tricks. By all means, plug it. But are there things that people should do almost from the start to kind of minimize some of these types of, I don't want to call them problems because it just sounds like it's just the normal course of life after amputation. Yeah. But are there things like diet or maybe certain exercises that are specific to a leg amputation that keeps it at a more consistent size or more consistent muscle to make the size tightened a little bit?
Yeah, and one reason that's very important to have the right shape and size before you start the process, because your body will make, it doesn't matter if it fits you or not, your body's going to make it fit. So wearing a socket that doesn't fit you correctly could totally jack up all your anatomy inside the leg, as far as like pushing on different nerves, different muscles or different tendons that it shouldn't. That all plays into it. I wish there was one streamlined answer, but you know, if you're diabetic, there's a different route you have to take. If you do dialysis, there's another route you have to take. Just because all those different things kind of play with how much salt your body holds, how much water it holds, and then how much it gets rid of and how fast it does. So there's really not much for a new amputee to do until you get your stitches or staples out. But then from there, just wear your shrinker as much as you can, and that will just get you started off the best way possible. And then of course, if your doctor throws in, you know, say too much salt makes you swell, well, maybe you cut back the salt. Or if you're diabetic, if your sugar gets too high, well, maybe you have to watch that a little better. There's just quite a few things that could change of how you're going to get a fit.
So you're an above the knee amputee. Can you tell people what happened with you?
Yeah. So I was born in '81. My knee joint was fused at my femur and kneecap and fibula or tibula. So basically it was just one long bone, somewhat crooked because a baby doesn't come out with a straight leg. So I've got old beta tapes that my dad made of me running and walking. And I got around. But the doctors at Cleveland Clinic, at the time I was 4, told my parents if they did a through the knee amputation, that most of those children just run around and are 100% normal. And at least I'd be able to run, play sports, than just have a leg. I'd be less handicapped, they would say. So I had that done in '86 and September of '86. And by April of '87, I was playing T-ball. So, I mean, you know, I was right back at it. And that's the biggest advantage I have, is that kids that grow up as amputees just live a totally normal life because it's all you know. I didn't get to live a regular life and then at 40 lose a leg and have to start all over. So it's a lot different circumstance. But I'm glad it put me in this position that I can give advice or try to help anybody that I can that's new to this.
Do you think that having that experience, Josh, helps you with people that you see now because you grew up in it instead of I'm imagining 90% of the people that you see are exactly like Seth, 40 plus years old, had a limb, now they don't, where you can kind of look at that and you can explain to them all of the steps because you grew up in it, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. It's I just have a different perspective on things because I didn't get to, say, oh, it's too hard, I can't do that, or no, that's not fair. I just had to figure out whatever it was and I had to do it. Whether it was doing the mile at gym in school for like them presidential fitness things, I still had to do all that crap. And I just got it done. But being able to if I don't have the right words for somebody, I literally have thousands of friends that are amputees, and I can find someone in your exact predicament and pair you up with them and see how they handled it. The same way I help a lot of parents that are, gave birth. A lot of kids are missing, their hand didn't develop, or just other birth defects, to kind of just, let them know, hey, it's going to be okay. Like, your kid's going to go through a time where just like an adult would, like, it's not fair. Why me? But you just got to let them know, like, sooner or later you have to accept it and you have to just push through. Because I couldn't imagine just being, I feel horrible for the people who are just miserable and hate life and just think it's over, because they had no one to show them that they can still do it. It might look a little different.
That's why you started a support group, right? Tell us about that.
Yeah. So I started that maybe about 2 years ago. There was all kind of support groups around here. That during COVID, a couple of them went remote, and then they just kind of stopped. So after COVID, I told my boss, I was like, I want to start one up. I went back to in person. It just means more when you're actually there. You can see what they're talking about. Because I started that up, and it's been great. The other day, I don't know, we just gained like 1,700 members to our online group, but the support group is just growing and growing. So it shows me that people need that. And the other thing it taught me is just how, well, in my opinion, I think recovering from amputation is more taxing mentally than it is physically, because even if you're a very bad diabetic, eventually you're going to heal. And that's when the mind games really start. You put on that leg for the first time, and just, you don't know what to do. You have a million questions. And so I'd like, my support group is 24/7. There's somebody you can get a hold of all the time on there. Because you never know when you're going to be stuck, somewhere, or you're in the middle of something and your leg broke. Like, you're freaking out, but maybe there's someone that could tell you how to get out of this real quick until you can get to an appointment. There's just so many scenarios that have happened, that I'm so thankful that we started that and just grown so much.
Sure. What do you think is harder for people? Do you think it's harder for people to, and before I even ask the question, I want to backtrack just a minute, because I went through burns, as I'm pretty sure you're aware. And the physical part was never really like something that stopped me from doing anything afterwards, other than really nothing. It was just, I just went back to doing stuff. But the mental thing was crazy, and I mean, I've talked about it here a couple of times about like fireworks. Couldn't see fireworks because I couldn't be around an explosion. It just was such a mind mess. Do you think that it takes people longer to adjust to doing the physical things because of the physical aspect, or because of the mental that we put each other through? Not even about can we do it, but are people going to laugh when I do this, or if I look funny taking this step? Or do you think that is what truly stops people and kind of makes them become almost shut-ins a lot of times because they're just afraid to be taunted or teased or whatever?
Yeah, and even if you're not taunted and teased, everyone's going to stare at you.
Right.
And not everybody wants that attention. So I'd say 99.9% of amputees almost go through the same thing where, you're going through life. Maybe you're sick for a little bit. Maybe you got an infection, or it could be instant. But either way, the day comes and you lose your leg, and that, that's a major traumatic event. Even if you knew it was coming, you're still going to wake up and see that there's no leg there, and that's kind of when it starts. So it's kind of like dealing with a death that everyone goes through, like a depression and all those different stages. And it's kind of like anything else. There's people that just cannot get out of their own mind. There's people that cannot make it through all those stages by themselves. And that's fine. And that's why I push for mental health to be part of after you get out of the hospital and getting through the process, because that's the only part that's not, I wouldn't say everything's mandatory, but you go through steps 1 through 7, but none of those are mental health. I think we need to add that in there because, nobody wants all that attention. And as soon as you got Seth, anywhere you go, everyone's staring at you.
Yeah,
sure. It takes a long time to just be comfortable with that. Now, it's the same if you have any disability that's visual, if my brother, I forgot what that one disease is called where like some of your skin is like white spots. My brother
eczema,
alopecia,
something like that. But yeah, when he would get tan, they would just show him work. So he would want to stay out of the sun, and I'm like, man, what do you mean? Come on, man, who cares? Like, you're not going to go outside and have fun because you think you're going to look a little funny. So, and that's another thing for the support group. So, like, we go to baseball games or Cavs games or bowling. An amputee on their own may not want to go to a Cavs game. They may think, I'm not walking up down those stairs.
Yes.
I don't know where I'm going to be, yada, yada. I don't want to get stared at. But if 20 of us go, it's way easier for that other person to just blend in with us. And, I don't care if everyone stares at me, go ahead, And so it's just kind of helps people get, ease back into that part of life.
I mean, I have to admit, I still almost every night when I get up to go to the bathroom or something like that, I get in from the bed into like a wheelchair or something like that. And I look down and I still go, oh my God, I don't have a leg. I mean, sometimes it takes a while. I mean, I know I don't, but sometimes you just stare at it and go, oh my God, dude, I can't believe this actually is still happening. And, like the problems that I'm having now with the leg that doesn't fit. I had no problems a month ago going down a curb or downstairs or something like that. But now, the other night I went out to dinner with my wife and there was a curb just to get back down to the car, and I'm freaking out. I was like panic stricken because I didn't want to fall.
Yeah.
I mean, I would never think about that if you have 2 legs.
Right.
It's just one of these things. I probably could have got down okay, but then all of a sudden I'm sitting there calling for my wife to come over and help me get down this curb. And it is embarrassing and it is hard and it's difficult to do. Yeah. It's difficult to deal with that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. And even when you're 5-10 years in, there's stuff that may pop up that you haven't dealt with yet that just hasn't hit you yet. And now it's your turn to deal with it. And you're thinking, great, I thought I was past all this stuff, but here we are again with the aggravation or the, attention I didn't want. It's just always changing.
Sure. Are there different levels? I want to go back to the mental health for a minute. I do have a couple questions for that. First one is, are there different levels of mental acceptance based on the amputation? And to be very clear on that, you see more leg amputations than you do hands, as an example. So in my head, I think that somebody that has a hand amputation might have a harder time actually going out and being seen because it's not as common. Is that a thing, or is that me reading way too much into it?
This episode of the CMS Network is brought to you by our sponsor, Blackout Coffee. If you are a coffee lover, you will love when they are selling over at Blackout Coffee. Make sure you get yourself some. The only thing woke about this company is the drinker of the coffee, because it gives you quite a jolt. I am a personal fan of the Brutal Awakening Dark Roast, but everybody's a little bit different. Make sure you get what is your favorite today. go to blackoutcoffee.com. Use the promo code CHRIA20 to save 20% on your first order. It's that simple. So one more time, blackoutcoffee.com. That is the link, or use the full link if you give a shop around that is scrolling on the bottom, and get yourself some of the best coffee that is out there today. blackoutcoffee.com.
I mean, somewhat. It makes it harder for them to kind of learn about products or this and that, just because there's way less information out there. It's kind of the same, like even today, like pediatric prosthetics is maybe like gets 2% of the pie, you know? So there's not, you know, if you're a kid and you're missing a leg, there's only 2 feet to choose from. If you're an adult, there's 300. There's a million of them. So I wouldn't say it makes it more. I'll tell you, when things changed was when every company started using amputees and like all their commercials, different TV stuff. Because until like 9/11, basically, I had never ever been thanked for my service or anything like that. Sure. And as soon as like 2003 hit, I'm not even joking. I bought Meta glasses and I wore them around Northampton Mall the other day. Took 3 seconds for me to have the glasses on for someone to be like, "Sorry about your leg, man." And I'm like I'm cool with it, man. I've had it my whole life. We're good. And you know, I quit working out at Planet Fitness because I would get tapped on my shoulder like every 10 minutes, like thanking me for my service. So I think it's much easier for amputees now because the general population knows what a prosthetic looks like. You know, kids have seen them. But still, going to Amish country is wild. That's always fun.
Right.
Somebody wants to know if you ever work with the military or VA.
Yeah, I do a lot of stuff with the Cleveland VA. In fact, I started getting into adaptive sports because there's no like stand-up amputee league. So you just play wheelchair with all the other spina bifida, cerebral palsy and stuff. So I play for the Wheelchair Browns and the Wheelchair Cavs. And I would say most of my teammates are VA people. So I've done a lot of like research projects with the VA and have been to a lot of their own internal like support group, being invited by different people I know to come help them and teach them how to use the different products.
Excellent. And then I know I'm swinging back and forth to this mental thing. I guess I'm mental, but with the mental thing, and again, I'm using my situation, which is a little different, but
it's really very similar.
It's similar. I mean, look, and as I always say, no matter what you've been through, everybody's been through something. So, you know, it's all kind of the same in your head. For me, a shrink did not do anything but piss me off. It just didn't. And it didn't for the reasons of she was trying to give me all of the proper, this is how you do this or that. Well, I'm not that guy. And I don't think most people, when they're going through something, are that guy or woman either. You know, you really discover who you are when you're going through something. I found that talking to other people, if they had been through it, and I hope, like, that's kind of why I really reacquainted with Seth, was I wanted to be that guy that could just say, dude, stop whining and let's get to it. You know, you're not the only one. And I needed that myself from people, you know, when I was in the hospital and I had people coming in saying, oh, let's pray together and let's do this or that. Nothing against prayer. I'm not trying to say anything negative against prayer. I'm saying I needed somebody to say, you were a hard ass before, be a hard ass now, and stop being weak and trying to tell yourself not to do something. That helped me way more than any shrink ever did. You obviously running a support group, you see both sides. What do you see? Do you see the individuals one-on-one helping more than the shrinks, or the shrinks helping more than the one-on-one necessarily?
Well, I mean, there's definitely a room for both, but I think right away the peer support helps you so much better. And that's why I try to, you know, even though I may be an above me person, and the new amputee I see in the hospital had an accident, is missing his left arm. Well, even though I'm an amputee, he's still maybe like, yeah, but you have both your hands, you have both your arms. So I link him up with a friend that's missing his whole left arm. And, then even though amputees generally deal with the same type of stuff together, kind of just, it's like an automatic trust factor. And it's just, okay, let me listen to this guy. He's been doing this for 20 years. This sucks, but I want to enjoy life. I want to get back to things that I liked. I want to be present with my family. So maybe I should listen to what this guy has to say. And I've had way more better luck with peer support than I have just like a shrink. But I think down the road, it can't hurt to at least go talk to someone once or twice just to make sure, you're where you need to be. Because I think, as far as a shrink go, I think there's some ways they know how to get something out of you if it's hiding in there that someone untrained doesn't, or know what to look for. So, I definitely would recommend both, but I always prioritize the peer visits right away.
Sure.
I remember when I was in the hospital, Travis Mills called me. Remember Travis Mills, Chris?
Yeah, I know him, yeah.
And Travis was a guy who lost all 4 limbs in Afghanistan. And should have died, but he's a friend, and he called me in the hospital. And he said, "Hey man, you're gonna be all right. You still got 3 of them left." And it made me feel better to talk to a guy that's walking and doing all the things that he does with his life and having no limbs.
Yeah.
And you sit there and go, "That's an inspiration." It makes you feel like I can handle this. And I'll be honest, there's still times that are very dark, dude. There's still times where I'm sitting around the house and I couldn't do this or I couldn't do that. And you're sitting there going, why? Why the hell did this happen? And it's sad and it is depressing. There are times where it gets to be very lonely inside, even when there's people around you.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't do things that you want to do. The other day I wanted to go to a restaurant and they hadn't plowed or done anything with the parking lot. And so I'm sitting there going, there's no way I'm going to make it from this parking space all the way inside this damn restaurant. And so I left. 5 years ago, I wouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
And so there are things that suck and make for a depressing time at times.
But the interesting thing is 5 years from now, you probably wouldn't, you probably would go in.
Right.
You'd find a way to go in. See, and Josh, help me with this because I tell this to Seth all the time and he flat out don't believe me. He's still a baby. He's still very young at this.
Yeah. And Seth, okay, a couple weeks you're coming to see us. By March, you'll be making that walk. I'm telling you that the reason you're struggling has nothing to do with your limb or you wanting to put an effort. That socket just does not fit you. And I'm trying to tell you, you have no stability in that socket. So it's hard for you to feel, every time you took a step, your knee kind of kicked out.
Yeah.
Well, if you have if when we make you a socket, you're going to be in there that there's not going to be no left or right movement. It's just going to be forward and back. So as soon as you feel this test socket, you're going to be like, oh, this is how it's supposed to be. All right. So it's so many roller coaster highs and lows because you think it's going to be forever. And it's really, you have the right to worry, but I try to promise everyone, it does get better. You take care of yourself, you listen to the prosthetists and do what they do what they ask you to do. I've rarely found any amputees that just can't use a leg,
Mm-hmm. Well, and the other piece to that too is the more you do it, the less you think about it.
Yeah, 1,000%.
And for me, I was burned 32 years ago, I guess. And yeah, those first years, everything was a thing. Being out in the sun was a thing. Yeah. Wearing a shirt was a thing. Do I wear short sleeves? Do I wear shorts? Everything was a thing. Now, none of it's a thing.
Yeah,
now it's just like, somebody's going to see my scars. Pfft, okay, who cares?
That's what I was telling Seth. My wife loves Disney, so we go probably every year, every other year. Even 20 years ago for me, I used to find bathrooms to go fix my leg. You get sweaty, you got to wipe it off, put it back on. Man, anymore, I just sit on a bench anywhere I can find, pop my leg off, I don't care what kid says anything. I don't care who's looking. I want to be comfortable. This hurts right now, and I'm fixing it. You know,
right on. And by doing that, though, the other piece to doing that is you also don't create mental stress in your head anymore. You don't sit there and stress about, is that kid, can he see what I'm doing? And what's his mom going to say? His mom's looking at me weird, or, you know, you don't do that anymore. You're just like, who cares? I'm out for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And I get it. And it's, you know, the mental health thing, it's always much easier for the females to kind of jump in and want to talk to someone else and want to, you know, just go along with the program. But then you get us males that are like, nah, I'm good. And so a lot of times the new male amputees, I mean, it takes a little longer to chip away and get at them. But eventually everyone wants to talk.
That's the reason I have no leg, is because I was that male who said, I'm not going to the doctor. I'm going to be all right. Ain't no problems here until I'm passed out with sepsis and in a coma. Somebody wants to know, what is the average time to walk unassisted?
Well, again, so with amputees, it's so case by case. I mean, if you want a general answer, I would say by the 6-month mark, I see a lot of below knee amputees. I say they're the most common. Below knee is about 70% of all amputees. Most of the below knee amputees are walking. Some still using an aid, whether it's a cane or a walker. Those that go to physical therapy or occupational therapy seem to do even better. But I would say 6 months for a below knee and 9 months to maybe a year for above knee. Above knee is just very more mental, because the number one thing everybody thinks is the knee's just going to give out on me. How do I trust a fake knee that I have no control over? So honestly, it takes like falling once to be like, okay, that's not so bad, to where you're just like, all right, I'm going to start running. But I'd say 6 months to a year should be your goal to walk unassisted.
I mean, when I was watching you the other day, it was fascinating to watch you stand, sit, walk around with a knee that's not there. Like, how do you know? I mean, like, you have no feeling of the knee being there. Like, is it that's? Well, again, you grew up with it.
It's never known.
Right? Dude, so you know the difference. For 40 years, man. It's you know, I'm just honestly, and I'll, you know, my party trick is you can pretty much tap anywhere on my whole leg, on my prosthetic leg, and I'll tell you where you tapped it. And it's weird. I can just feel the vibrations, whether it's in the heel, it's in the toes, it's in the knee. And a way, man, it kind of just becomes one with you. And it's, you know, I would say probably once a year I still might fall, but that's from just, you know, being overconfident and not paying attention and just, you know, going too fast maybe or something. But it just becomes a part of you, man.
And see, that's my biggest fear, is falling. I mean, I fell one time when I was on a treadmill. The pin came unattached from my leg, and leg went flying, fell off the treadmill. And now it's a mental thing. I'm like, I don't want to fall again.
Yeah.
And so I think I'm overly cautious, which sometimes makes me kind of mental, because I don't want to. I think about every little step that I'm taking.
Yeah.
And that might be good, so I don't fall, but it also drives me crazy.
It's good for you now, but you don't trust your socket, you don't trust your leg right now. So that's the main issue. When you got to have one you can trust. That's step number one. Because if you don't trust it, it doesn't matter what anyone does to it. It doesn't matter what foot you have. It doesn't matter what ankle movement you have. If you don't trust your socket and that it's going to be there, stay on and fit you, that's first issue that we're fixing for everybody. Yeah.
Excellent.
Somebody wants to know about weight loss drugs for someone who's lost a leg. It must be better for someone to drop 100 pounds.
For that guy, how do you feel those weight loss drugs for someone who lost a leg? Fine, man. Listen, how I feel about all those weight loss things is like, I don't know very many old fat guys, right? So if there's cons to the weight loss things, you know, that's probably better than you being dead in 2 months or 2 years. So it's no problem. The only issue you're going to have is same as if you gain weight, your leg's not going to fit. If you lose a bunch of weight, your leg's also not going to fit. I lost 80 pounds probably 2 years ago, and I've been able to keep that off. But what I did was I kept using like foam fillers inside my socket to keep me kind of pushed in there. And then when I got to a weight where I'm like, I'm probably not going to lose a whole bunch more. I went ahead and had another leg made, but my new socket was 5 inches around in circumference, smaller, which was how much volume I lost just in my limb. So losing weight, great, man. It's better for your life, and you can always make a new leg.
Josh, is there a balance? You're talking a lot about that you're going to consistently need to change out or upgrade equipment or upgrade limbs and whatnot. Where is the balance for that between doing that and dealing with the dreaded insurance company that has to kind of say yes or no to that? I mean, and I guess what I'm asking is, do people that are going through it, like Seth, should they employ an attorney to make sure that they don't get shut down, or are the insurance companies generally cool enough to work with you, or how does that all work?
I wouldn't say you needed an attorney, possibly if you had like a workers' comp case, because then workers' comp wants to know like lifelong expenses. Like, how are you supposed to know how much prosthetics you're going to use in the next 40 years? I don't know. But generally, every major insurance, even Medicare, Medicaid, all provide anything you need to get started. But it's like anything else. So prosthetics are considered durable medical equipment. So same as a wheelchair, same as a bedside commode. It's the same. It's considered the same thing. Okay. So it's pretty easy. You can look up on your insurance and see what DME. Every insurance spells out prosthetics, what they'll cover. But every insurance will cover a leg. It's just what there's mainly just like kind of 2 levels of legs. One's more basic, one's more advanced. Some insurances won't cover the more advanced ones, but not having the more advanced one doesn't mean you're going to do bad or you're not going to do well. That's just like,
I'll be honest, man. I gave him my insurance when I was there the other day. I'm going to panic every day until I get the prescription and ready to go that my insurance is going to do something for me, and I'm not going to be legless for the rest of my life.
I promise they will cover, but no questions asked. You have a lot. So in the prosthetic field too, just like any doctor's appointment you go to, after you leave, that doctor writes notes, or dictates what happened during the appointment. So prosthetists is the same way. As soon as you leave your appointment, we go dictate what parts we think you need, what we noticed about your walking, what could help you, what's hurting you. And so our notes, along with your doctor's notes, and then along with physical therapy, occupational therapy notes, are what we kind of mesh together and submit to insurance. So we have 3 people telling the insurance provider exactly what you need. Once in a while, they still deny, but then we do a peer-to-peer visit with them. And our prosthetist talks to the insurance prosthetist. And almost every time that happens, it gets approved. So sometimes there's more leg work, but I've never seen anyone like
leg work.
I like that. Completely not able to get a leg or anything like that.
All right. So I shouldn't panic, is what you're saying.
I wouldn't panic at all, Seth. You're good.
All right.
Nice. Josh, how if you think it's even going to be a thing, how long do you think it's going to be before robotics take over some of this stuff? And obviously that would be more, I would think, for the hands than the legs per se. But I see it all the time. Everybody sees it all the time. And look at this experimental thing, and you see, a guy thinking and the fingers move or whatever. Do you, I guess I'm asking 2 questions. Do you think that is going to become a regular thing, much like prosthetics have for the last 25, 30 years? And if so, how long do you think it will be until that happens?
Follow the chaos. The Classic Metal Show is live on X. Stream all the episodes for free, watch the show live every Saturday night, or just get there and find out what is going on with the Classic Metal Show. Get your metal feed, x.com/CMS Rocks.
Well, we've kind of already had it been happening, like you said, with the hands. So those are, they have what is called microprocessors. So that's hands have them, knees have them, and feet and the ankle part can have them. So the ones with the hands are cool because they'll have like electrodes hooked up on your, your different muscles, and whatever muscle like you flex moves a different part of the arm. So there's things inside the socket that hold the hand on, and then sometimes there's even things under your skin that shoot and fire all those signals. A part of a VA study I did was they basically did legs with like nerve mapping. So they do an implant pretty much in your abdomen, and you have these leads hanging out that clip into the top part of the leg. And then you have leads in your residual limb that come out and kind of plug in on the inside of the leg. And the theory is, as you take a step, you feel the steps because all the nerves have been rerouted to nerves you still have, and you can somehow feel those. Whether that ever works or not,
Right.
I don't know. And then to get insurance to pay for that expensive stuff is another fight. So stuff like that may be 10, 20 years down the road. But the newest thing they have, and it's pretty cool, and it's the biggest hot button in prosthetics. You either love it or hate it. You have an opinion. It's called Osseointegration. And so what that does, they've been doing it in Europe already for 20, 30 years, Australia. And so basically, whether you're an arm or leg, they hollow out your bone, and they put a rod inside your bone that your bone accepts and kind of grows around. And then, say this is the end of my stump right here, I would have a little like rod coming out, and your leg or arm would attach directly to the rod. So no sockets, nothing on your leg or your skin like that. It's just a little, like a 2-inch metal abutment coming out of your skin that connects, like Seth, it would connect right at the bottom where your socket and that pylon goes. It just snaps right in there. So it's pretty crazy because you're always going to have something sticking out of your skin. And the main issues right now is obviously that's like always an open wound. They're trying to find ways of how to have less infections or less rejection. But I have a lot of friends that have it, and they rant and rave about it and how comfortable it is that they don't have to wear a socket anymore. But back to the computers, like in my knee reads 500 times a second what I'm doing, and it controls the hydraulic inside the knee. So it knows if I'm going fast, it puts more fluid in there so it can swing back faster. If I'm just leisurely walking, it knows the pace, and it just keeps it going smooth. It's nuts, but computers have been in our products for probably 30 years. And then now it's getting more power assisted. That's like the newest stuff.
Right. It's amazing.
Josh, I can't thank you enough for coming on today, but tell everybody about your therapy group again, and or support group, where people can find you and support you or everything else. Yeah, sure. So our support group's Northeast Ohio Amputee Support Group. Got a Facebook page with the same name and a YouTube page with the same name. And then if anybody ever had questions, they can find me. It's Lime Cooler, Seth, just like a lime and a cooler, but it's spelled funky. But you say Lime Cooler, Orthotic Prosthetic Center. And we're in Toledo, Sandusky, Amherst, North Olmsted, and Niles. Probably more in the future, but we're growing and just trying to help as many people as we can. I'll tell you what, man, I love the building. I thought it was great. I went to one out in Amherst. You guys were fantastic, and the doc I met was great, and I'm looking forward to working with you guys. And in a couple of weeks, I'll see you again, I hope. And but thanks for coming on today. We really appreciate it. So thanks for having me, and I appreciate a different type of program that's geared to more just trying to, dudes being dudes and just trying to help each other rather than stick with all the stigmas,
Right on, man.
Amen. I'm sure we'll talk to you again. So
all right. Thank you, Josh.
Thanks, Josh.
Thank you, guys.
Take care.
Later, brother.
And there goes Josh.
I like that guy.
I like him too. Got
He's
a
a
lot
good
of
dude.
insight, man. A lot of insight. I love that. I see, and this is like learning to me as well, because I just don't know this piece, of your world.
Right.
And it really is fascinating to hear that that it's fascinating for me to hear from somebody else, somebody saying that you are worried about things that you will not care about at all in the future. Because I know it, but even for me to tell you, it's still hard. I know sometimes when I say that to you, you're like, oh, Jesus, dude, come on. What the hell? Yeah, of course you think that. You aren't going through it. You were just burned.
No, I mean, well, that's just it, though. I mean, we both have things that we don't know about.
Sure.
And so it's interesting to hear the other side of stuff.
Absolutely it is.
And I will say it is reassuring to hear him talk and say, hey, look, man, we know what the problem is with your leg.
Mm-hmm.
So hang in there. It'll get fixed.
Well, and that is one of those things that I don't care what you suffer from. For me, it's burns. For you, it's amputation. I guarantee you it's the same thing with people that are blind or can't hear or whatever, broken back, paralyzed, any of that stuff. You end up getting so wrapped into your brain that it's never going to get any better. It's very hard. My doctor always equated it to running hurdles. He always told me, like, every time I asked what was a dumb question, my doctor, Dr. Fratt, would say to me, he'd be like, what do you do on a track? Do you stand next to the hurdle and try and jump over it? Or do you run at it full speed so that you can jump over it?
Right.
He's like, stop standing still and run at this shit and jump over the hurdle. And it's great to hear. Believe me, every time he said that to me, you know what I did? I did this. Right, dude. What do you know? You haven't been burned. You don't know shit. I don't care if you have fixed 100,000 people. You don't know what I'm going through. And of course he was right every single time. Every single time he was correct. Because, and I mean, if you think of that analogy, tell me how perfect that is. Everything that we do, the only time we don't do it is when we stop. Yeah. And then once you just decide, you know what, like you were saying about going into that restaurant, once you just decide, I don't give a damn, I love their filet mignon, I'm going through it, whether it's a puddle, a snowstorm, black ice, whatever. Once you get it into your head to do that, then you're jumping over the hurdle.
Yeah, and I was so mad at myself the other day because, we drove a half hour more to get to this place, and I'm passing restaurants where the plows obviously went through and the parking lot looked clear, and I'm like, all right, great, this will be fine. And we get there and it's like the one that's not done yet.
Right.
And I'm sitting there staring at it. I drove around the fucking building 3 times. I'm sorry. I drove around it 3 times and then was like, I can't do it. I can't find a spot that's close enough for me to go. If I pulled up right next to the building and got out here.
And you were in the hand control car where the wife couldn't
she couldn't
drop you at the door or whatever.
Right. And so there wasn't. And I sat there and I was like, okay, I can do this. It's just snow, dude. You're fine. You'll be all right. And then the more I thought about it, the more I kind of like psyched myself out. And I was like, I got to go. I
get
somewhere else. And we found somewhere else to go.
Sure. I mean, dude,
but it makes me mad. It makes me sad because I do worry about it. I can't wait until this winter is over with. So this kind of stuff doesn't stop me from doing things that I want to do, which is why I always wanted to move, because I don't want to deal with this garbage and this leg. But I guess, you have to push forward. And
yeah, I mean, that's it, man. You just have to do, if you want to. I see it, and that's where I think people get lost between, do you have to or do you want to? I don't know that you have to, but you want to. You and I we're in different places because of the distance between our accidents, but every time you say some of this stuff, it is like the same mindset that I had when I first was getting moving. you know, when I was first getting moving, everything was an issue. Going out to the car was an issue because I had to walk down 3 steps and I didn't know that I could.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've told the stories to you. I don't know if I've told them on the air or not. I don't even know if they're in my book, but when I first got burned up, I don't know what you call this spot right here, like between your arm and your shoulder blade, I guess.
Okay.
You know, whatever that is, sealed so hard. The graft sealed so hard that it pulled my arm all the way down to my stomach. And I had, you know, they had therapy for me to try and stretch it and do all this crap. But the reality was, it was making me put my wife and kids in a dangerous position because, much like you, I got hurt in December. The roads were shit. And here I was trying to go to the hospital every single day, from Bedford to Cleveland every single day,
right,
with babies, you know, and it was like, all right, we're going to be driving in this day and night. I'm going to make the wife drive with the babies day and night back and forth, or I can do it myself. And at first I didn't do it myself, but then after a couple of weeks, I was like, this is stupid. I'm doing it. And even though I only had one hand that could barely control the car, I started doing it. And I made it through. Now, I'm not trying to say that was a brilliant decision of mine. I make some stupid decisions too. And certainly being stoned on Percocets and driving your car with one arm was not my best decision ever. But it was a good decision in that it showed me yet another thing that I had convinced myself I could not do. And then I did it. And then once I did it, I never had that fear again. You know, and I think you're going to go through, like I said, you're still a baby at this, man. You're going to go through a million of these kind of decision points. That's really all. In my opinion, that's what this is. It's about decision points. It's not about the actual fear of the accident or the injury. Like for you, I mean, what's worse for you? Not having a leg or thinking about the things that it limits you from?
Yeah, I'd rather have a leg.
But
I'd rather have my
saying,
prosthetic.
That's what I'm saying. But what messes with you more? Thinking about it, right? Not once you do almost everything, I'm assuming that you've tried to do, you've been able to do.
Yeah.
So somehow, some way, that message isn't getting into your head saying, well, I just have to try it and then I'll get it. I'll be able to do it. And again, it's because it's all brand new. It's because you're fighting 50 years of history.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure it all out.
Right. But you'll get there, man. Everybody gets there eventually. Either that or you'll sit home and watch The Price is Right on the Game Show Network for 40 hours a day.
Which isn't that bad either. But
that's not a bad living either if you can afford it.
No, I like to work and I like to go out and do things and I like to go see movies and go to restaurants and I enjoy spending time with my family. And, you know, I did a year of that sitting around the house while they were off at work and school and I couldn't work and I couldn't drive and everything else. I thought I'd never drive again.
Mm-hmm.
And thanks to people like, you know, Charlie the mechanic. And,
sure.
You know, my wife and stuff, I was able to do it. And so, no, I mean, if you want it, you can do it, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But, yeah, there's still a lot to figure out. There always is.
There always will be. There's still I'm 32 years out, and there's still things or times every once in a while where things just don't jive with what I think they should be. And maybe sometimes, like, I don't know how you are about your accident anniversary. I'm go both ways with it. Sometimes when I'm thinking about it, I take it as an absolute celebration. A lot of times I've even done birthday cakes and everything else about it. But this is my 25th anniversary, or this is my 25th birthday, or my burniversary, or whatever. You know, sometimes I'm like that. But like specifically this year, I was very dark. And I think it had a lot to do with I had a lot of other stuff going on in my life that was not going real well either, you know, last month, where I was dark anyway. But man, that burn date hit December 12th, and I was like, leave me the fuck alone, man. I don't want to be bothered with anybody. You know, I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to see fire on TV. I didn't watch Chicago Fire for a month just because I didn't want to see fire. And is that dumb? Yes. But it is what it is. Sometimes it creeps back in. You can't.
4-year anniversary, April 17th, coming
there
up.
You go. Well, there you go. We'll have to get either a cake or a tombstone, one or the other.
I'll do anything for a cake.
What kind of cake do I have to get you now with all your restrictions? A carrot cake?
Dude, one day I'll let the legs swell up and I'll have a nice big giant eagle birthday cake.
And then Josh will be yelling at you, what the hell? We just fitted this thing.
Just fix the damn leg.
We just fitted it. Now it doesn't fit. Oh, you had birthday cake? All right.
Maybe I'll ask Josh to make it just one size a little bigger.
Could you just ask him for like 5 of them?
I'll just put some socks down in there so I can cover everything up.
Just get different sizes. Be like those guys that have like the same suit, like 10 of the same suit in their closet.
Can't they make an adjustable leg? Like I can just.
I wanted to ask that as well. Why can't they make like a whatever that material is that they make like a knee brace out of? Why couldn't they do that? You know, that is kind of an interesting question. I guess maybe because it would slide up and down and it might fall off.
Yeah, that could be it.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. But all right. Well, there we go. We have limped out of this fire.
That was good. I enjoyed that.
That was good.
Josh is a good guy. Josh Green.
Yeah, he's great.
Lime Cooler. Prosthetic.
Right. Make sure you sign up for the support group as well.
Yeah, the Northeast Ohio Amputee support group.
Now, all the pressure's on me because now I got to find a burn person to come on here.
Yeah, you talked to a young man who wants to come on and say something.
Is a burn guy?
No.
Oh, all right.
But he's just a guy with a disability. Peter Nab wants to come on.
Oh, fine.
And just kind of tell a little bit of his story at some point.
Yeah, and on the I think it's the 25th, don't hold me to the date. I think whatever 2 weeks is from now, we are going to have Wayne Stokely of the band Lily and Axe come on. He is in like 3 bands. And I know people are thinking, what is this, the wrong show? No, it's this show. He's in 3 bands and he's blind.
Wow.
And he plays drums.
Wow.
So there's a lot to talk about there as well. So
I'm looking forward to that. That'll be cool.
That's going to be cool. Dude, I love this concept. I love the concept of talking through this stuff.
Yep.
Very much so. So,
well, say thank you to Josh for coming on, and thank to everybody who's watching today. Do appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
All the texts and everything, and we're gonna keep this thing going.
Yeah.
So next Monday we will talk to you with Limping Out of the Fire. Now, if you want to join us for some fun and just I don't know, craziness, if you will, huh?
Yeah. Hilarity plus tragedy, I guess.
Yes, you can listen on Wednesday. The Seth Williams Show will be back this Wednesday, assuming that everybody's feeling well. My wife is sick.
Great.
So hopefully I don't get the stupid flu.
Yeah, you do not want this one, man. Ooh.
But we will, God willing, talk to you on Wednesday with some more show for you.
Absolutely.
So thanks again. Have a good night. Have a good couple of days. We'll talk to you then.
See ya.
See ya, folks.
This is Limping!